All right, so now we're going to look at the surface area more from a formula perspective. So if I took a look at this 5 by 8 rectangular prism here, from the perspective of a net, it would look something like this. 5, 8. We have dotted lines here, and we'd have one more. Okay. And so, not to scale, obviously. So this would be 5. This would be 6. So this would be 6 right here because of this right here. And so we have this, we could figure this out. That's 40. That's 40. 8 times 6 is 48. So that's going to be 48 over here. And then 5 times 6 is 30. So that's going to be 30 over here. And so we've got this, we could add all that. So we've got 80, 40 and 40 is 80, 30 and 30 is 60, and 48 and 48 is 96. So we've got that whole thing. And so we could figure all that out. When we add it all up, we should get 236 yards squared. And you could do that, and that would work. But one of the things I want to start pointing out here, and what I wanted you guys to start kind of seeing, is if we did this and we went through, there we go, and we took a look at this, we can generalize a little bit more. Instead of finding 6 different things, let's see if we can find, okay, come on. 3. Because really, we could kind of find that out. Okay, so the way this would work, 8 times 5 does not change. That's still going to be 40. But we know that this 5 is going to be right here, so that's 5. We know then it wraps around to 8, so I'm going to have 8 along here. Okay, this is 8 right here, and then this right here would be 5. Because here's 5, this is going to be 5. Like I said, not to scale. And so we could look and generalize, instead of like 4 different rectangles there in the middle, we could make it one big rectangle. Okay, this is still going to be 6 right here. So 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 5 plus 5 is 10, 16. So it's going to be 26. So this whole rectangle here is 26 times 6. This is called the lateral surface area when we find that out. And so we can find it all in one fell swoop. So 26 times 6 is going to be 156. And so we got that 26 by basically adding all 4 of these sides right here. Okay, so then I can take those individual ones. Yeah, I've got 40. So I've got the rectangle on top is going to be 40, and the rectangle on bottom is going to be 40. Okay, and so now I'm adding 3 things instead of 6 things. Okay, and so that's one of the things. Now, the deal with that is, if we take a look at this, okay, and we look at the inside here, let's take a look at that rectangle, that 8 by 5 rectangle. So I'm going to kind of redraw it because right now I'm kind of messed it up so much. So 8 by 5. So this is 5, this is 8, this is 5, this is 8. We'll call this our base, right? It kind of is, right? It's sticking out there. What is the perimeter of this base? Well, it's 8 plus 5 plus 8 plus 5, right? Which is basically 16 plus 10, so it's 26. So the perimeter, the base, ends up being one of the sides of my lateral surface area here. So 26. And then times the height of my prism. Height is basically the distance between the 2 bases. So if this front is my base, and then my back there is going to be my other base, my matching pair, they're opposite. then the distance between those two is a 6. So that's going to be my height. So I end up taking the perimeter of my base times my height. That gives me that whole lateral surface area. That whole lateral surface area and one calculation. Well, 2. We had to do the perimeter. Then we multiply by the height. Okay. So that being said, then the surface area is going to start by finding the perimeter of the base times the height. And that will give us the whole lateral surface area. Then we still have these two guys here. So we still got this 40 and this 40. How did we get that? We just found the area of a rectangle, the area of that base. So we're going to find the area of that base. We'll call that big B, capital B. So the area of the base. But we've got 2 of those. So we're going to times that by 2. And that's where the formula comes from. Okay. So the first thing we have to do is establish a base. And so right here in this particular example, I said, okay, we're going to establish this as our base. So because that 5 by 8 square is our base, there are 2 things I need. I need to find the perimeter of that base, and I need to find the area of that base. So I'm going to do some moving here, get that stuff out of the way. So I'm going to get this stuff out of the way. Okay, I think that stuff's important, and I want to leave it here, but okay. So I have this as my base, okay? It's a 5 by 8 rectangle. That's my base. The perimeter of that base is going to be 5 plus 8 plus 5 plus 8. Adding up all the sides. I know this is 5. Sorry. Try that again. I know this is 8 and this is 5 because they're the same across from each other. Okay, so that's what gives me 26. The area of the base is going to be 5 times 8. That's 40. And I'm going to take these 2 numbers and I'm going to put them into that formula. Okay, so the perimeter is 26 times the height. That's the one number I haven't done anything with so far in this. And that is 6. Plus 2 times the area of the base. And the area of the base is 40. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that 40 in. And then I do that math. Surface area equals 26 times 6. So that's 3,656. And then plus 2 times 40 is 80. And then 6, 236 yards squared. And so it can be easier than adding up all 6, and we'll kind of apply this as we go here. And this was the long explanation. Not all of the problems are going to be this long because we're not going to necessarily do that long explanation every time. So let's go ahead and apply that here. So let's go ahead and surface area. So the way they set these up, I don't know, my brain just always looks and says, oh, look at this nice front. They give me the 8 and the 6. It's really pretty. And it's really easy for me to see the area of that. So I'm going to go ahead and just make that my base. Okay, so this is my base. So the perimeter of that is going to be 8 plus 6 plus 8 plus 6. The area of that is going to be 8 times 6. That's 48. 16 and 12, 28. Okay. And so the 16 and the 12 came from doing 8 and 8 is 16 and 12 and 12 is 6 and 6 is 12. It's one way to add it. Other people do other things. It just depends on how you want to do that. And now we plug those in. So you can see that can actually be very quick. So the perimeter goes here times, and I'll bring that back later, the height. And then 2 of those, there's the front and then the back. So I've got 2 of those bases that are 48 for that. The only number I haven't used so far is this one over here, and that is connecting the two bases, the front and the back, and so that is going to be 4. Okay, so 28 times 4 plus 2 times 48, and you guys have your different ways to do your math, so you get 208. So you can, it kind of picks up. Now, I'm showing a lot of work. This is the work I'd expect to see on a test. All right, so this here is my base. So perimeter equals 5 plus 7 plus 5 plus 7. So some people say, okay, 5 plus 7 is 12, and I've got that twice, so that's going to be 24. Area is going to be 5 times 7, and that's going to be 35. Time for my, there we go, time for my formula. Okay, so the perimeter is 24 times the height plus 2 times the base, which is 35, and that height is the only one I haven't used yet, and that's 6. So then I'm going to go ahead and you get, whether you do Desmos or what you're going to do, 24 times 6 is 144 plus 2 times 35, which is 70, plus 70 is 214 yards squared. And yes, you will miss it if you don't have that unit. If it says units required and you do not have that unit, then yeah. All right. Here we go. So this is a square. My perimeter, they're all 5. So I could write it out like that, but you see it's also 4 times 5, that's 20. The area is just going to be 5 times 5, and that's 25. So, get that formula going again. Perimeter is 20 times the height plus 2 times the base, the area of the base, so that's 50. And then my height, again, is just the one I haven't used yet. It's the one between the bases, so it's 6. That's 120. That's going to be 170 feet squared. Okay, a couple more of these, and then we're good to go. Okay, oh, definitely have to do, triangles. I'm going to skip down to triangles, because that's, okay, so it's the same concept here. Okay, so in this concept, I'm still going to do the same surface area. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here because it's a little bit harder to see. I'm still going to use the same formula, okay? And so when I use the same formula, I still require perimeter and area. But the perimeter is only going to be 3 things, these 3. And it has to be the triangle. If you're saying, what is the base? And you have triangles, then there's something wrong. If there's a triangle, that's the base. Period. If there's a non-rectangle side, that is the base. So if I'm adding around the edges, I've got 32, I've got 9, and then I've got this side, but I know that 26 it goes to there as well. So if 26 along the bottom, it's going to be 26 along the top. So I've got 32 plus 26 plus 9. And that is my perimeter. So 58, 67. I'm just going to double check my work because when I'm doing them super fast, I do make mistakes. So 67. Okay, and then, the area. Now the area is a little bit trickier. The area on a triangle is it's always the base and the height that we multiply is always forming the right angle. And then we have to half that. So it's 1/2 times base times height. So in this case, base and height are forming this right angle right here. How do I know it's the right angle? Because I give you that little corner thing. They point to this and say that that is 6 times. This one you know is 32. So it's 1/2 times 6 times 32. I like to do some fancy math here. I will probably just half that. So 1/2 of 6 is 3 times 32, 96. And that is 96. Okay. And so again, plugging in. So I'm going to go up here. So perimeter, 67 times the height. Well, what's that one? This one over here that we haven't used yet, that's between the top triangle and the bottom triangle, plus 2 times the area of the base, which we just figured out was 96. And then we go with that. So 670 plus 192. And when we add that together, it's 862 feet squared. Okay, one more triangle, and then I'll call it a wrap here. I'm going to go ahead and choose one that's just oriented a little bit differently. Okay, so we start here. It's a triangle, so I know it's my base. Okay, so I've got this side was 5, this side is 18, this side, oh no, I don't have it. Yeah, I do. It's 15. So this side is 15. Okay, and so I'm just simply finding the perimeter by adding 5 plus 15 plus 18, which is 38. Okay, area is, now I go look for these two that form the right angle. Okay, so they give me 1/2 times. It's always 1/2. Triangles are 1/2 of a rectangle. So base times height finds the rectangle. The half then gives you the triangle. So 1/2 times 3.6 times 18. Now I'm going to do my little trick again, but this time I'm going to say, oh, look, I've got half of something. Come on. Half of something. I'm going to half the 18 this time. So that gives me 3.6 times 9. And that is 32.4. You might think, well, why do you do that if you're going to use a calculator anyway? I don't know. Sometimes by halving one of those, I give myself some mental math that I don't necessarily have to do. Okay, so again, looking at the surface area formula. So we're going to go ahead and pull that in. So perimeter, 38 times height. Height is that one thing we haven't used yet. It's over here. It's the 7. It's the distance between the two triangles. So that's 7 plus 2 times the area of the triangle, which is 32.4. And then we're going to do that math. 38 times 7, 266, plus 2 times 32.4, 64.8. And then we just add those. 330.8 meters squared. Okay, so that's surface area using the formula. Crucial, finding perimeter of the base, then the area, plugging it into the formula, doing the math. That's what I've got for you.